Hey home brewers, welcome back. Today, oaked barley wine. I have not made a barley wine before, so you're going to come on this journey with me. I feel like just from drinking barley wine, it can be hit and miss. I've had some really good ones, and I've had some really bad ones. But I guess that can be said for any beer, really. So let me do the rundown real quick, and then we'll get rolling. Some of the grain I've got out here just for fun. It's going to be milled very shortly. What I don't have out here is my 2-row. I'm going to be using Great Northwestern, no, not Great North, what is it called? Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. I mean, whatever your 2-row is in your area that you can get. I'm using 20 pounds of pale 2-row. 20 pounds, yes. A pound and a half of caramel, 40 Lalvin, which I have right here. This happens to be Brice Caramel 40 Lalvin. I've actually got 2 pounds here because that's how you can only buy it by the pound. But yeah, pound and a half. 1 pound of Victory. I have Brice Victory. Brice is the brand, but you can get any Victory malt you want. That one happens to be, it doesn't say on the bag, but it should be somewhere around 28 Lalvin, if it matters. American Caramel, so another caramel. The one before it's 40 Lalvin. This one is, gotta be the one I'm holding in my hands, Brice Caramel 80 Lalvin. And we're talking 8/10 of a pound. I'm probably just going to throw in a pound. It's just, I'm not going to mess with like trying to figure out an eighth. Just a full pound. And then 3 pounds. This happens to be 3 pounds exactly. So this entire 3-pound package of dry malt extract. This is light dry malt extract. It's again made by Brice. Yeah. So that's the grain bill. I'll be putting in Chinook hops, 2 ounces, domestic Hallertau hops, 1.5 ounces, an ounce of Centennial, and an ounce of Citra. So yeah, a lot of hops, huh? And I'm going to use the same yeast that I used for my wheat wine because the wheat wine turned out amazing. So this is Lalvin EC 1118. It is a wine yeast, which makes sense because we're making a barley wine. I was just looking because I could have sworn at some point I had read on it that it was a champagne yeast, but it is not. It's just a regular wine yeast. But I did use it. It does have a higher alcohol tolerance than your normal ale yeast, and so it will allow me to get up there. We're looking for an ABV around 12.5% if it all works out well. Yeah, there's not much else to say except it will have some oaking in it. So I'll take some oak chips and I'll soak it in some whiskey for a week, and then I will pour the whiskey into really my finished beer. Like it'll be about 2 weeks in. I'll pour the whiskey in, and that's where you're going to get the oaked barley wine. So let's get to the kitchen. I'm going to hit the mill and get brewing. All right, y'all. Welcome. I made an executive decision to go with a full 20 pounds of 2-row, 2 pounds. I rounded up basically 2 pounds of crystal 40L Lalvin, and 1 pound of the 80 Lalvin. And I just divided it in half, so I've got half the grain here. I did spritz it down with about 2% the weight of the grain in ounces water to help keep the, it just moistens it a little bit to help keep the husk intact, gives you better efficiency. And then I'm going to mill it twice to make sure I get really good efficiency. So I'm going to go ahead and mill it. And this is only half the grain, so I'll do the other half in this second batch because it's too much to fit my system all at once. All right, folks, it's time to go ahead and mash in. I'm at my temp here. I usually don't like to tell the amount of water I'm using because Your system may vary. This is a rather narrow pot, and so the amount of water that you have to use might be more or less than mine. Also, it would help if I did this. I said before, I am doing this a little differently than I've done before. Instead of using the grain basket that comes with this system, I've had issues with it because it's just not well suited for really letting the grain get a good amount of saturation here. So I'm just going to go ahead and mash in. I'll get the pump going, and then this will mash for an hour. We'll do a test to make sure all of it's been, all of it kind of gets in there, and then all the sugar gets, converted. And then from there, I'll have another mash because I can't do all this grain in one. It's too much grain for this system. So I'll do a second mash for another hour, and that should do it. So nothing too exciting to see here. This will be at 153 degrees Fahrenheit for an hour. So I'll see you back here when I get both mashes done. I'm ready to top up and boil. See you in a bit. All right, guys, so I'm stepping in a little bit earlier than I said I was going to. I just had a major catastrophe. So this is a big issue with having a brew-in-the-bag bag, is how do you get the damn bag out without it burning you, making a mess. So I tried the oven rack trick where you put the oven rack, you try to pull the bag out enough, you slip the oven bag underneath and put the bag on top. I lost some wort over the edge from that because, of course, the bag doesn't hold its shape once you pull it out. So it starts to flop over, and it was dripping down the sides. And so I had to pull the oven rack back off. Then I had a metal colander that actually set into this enough, and it would hang on the lip. So I put that colander there, but of course you have to pull the bag out. And the bag is super slippery. It's extremely heavy, and of course it's very hot. I have the heat-resistant gloves, but it's not very good because it just makes it even more slippery. You just can't grab hold of it. You can't hold on to it. Plus, you have to lift the whole thing with one hand in order to slip whatever you're trying to slip underneath it. So, and I tried wrapping it up around my brew paddle. I mean, it wouldn't hold. Anyway, the colander fell in while I was trying to pull it out. The whole bag fell, hit the wort that was in here, and it splashed up on my face. It got over the wall. I have a grate that you can't see down here where I have the air intake to my furnace. That got covered. I'm going to have to go one thing at a time to clean that out. It got on the refrigerator. Look, I can still see some up here on the microwave. I mean, it just splashed. It was all over my face. I had to change clothes. Bad times, you guys. This is not what I signed up for homebrewing. I almost didn't want to finish this video because I was just like, no, I'm done. This is more than I care to deal with. But I grabbed the old brew-in-the-bag cylinder, and I was able to get the bag out enough. I mean, I still got, there's wort. You can see it on the floor, right, from the carpet or the towel I put down. I mean, it's everywhere. But I got it into the cylinder. I don't know how much wort I actually lost and how much that's going to affect the overall efficiency and the ABV. What a pain in the butt, you guys. Anyway, I started with 4 gallons of water, if you're wondering. I sparged in a gallon of water just now. I'm probably going to put a little bit more. I'm trying to see where the numbers are, but I want to get it back up to 4 gallons so I can do my second bag of grain. I'm still going to do a brew-in-the-bag bag because it worked really well up until the point that I had to figure out how the hell am I going to get it out of there. Yeah, if you're doing 5 gallons and you're doing like 12 pounds or more of grain, when it gets wet, I mean, you're talking a seriously heavy, very wet, very hot bag. Trying to get that out with one hand. I mean, if you have a pulley system, that's great, but I just don't have any way to set something like that up where I'm currently at here. So I think what I'm going to do for the second bag is I'll put this empty cylinder in this basin. on the floor right next to it, and just use both hands to pull it out, and as quickly as I can, pop it back into this, and then I can set it. It's going to be a lot of back and forth, but I don't know. Anyway, I've only just now finished the first mash, so the first hour, pulling the grain out, sparging it, so I'll be putting in the second bag of, or second 12 pounds of grain and mashing that for the next hour. So I'll see when I'm done with that. Wish me luck. All right, everybody, welcome back. So both mashes are done. This video is probably going to go long because of that huge mishap I had where everything kind of just all over the place. Believe it or not, it's getting close to coming to a boil here. 196 degrees. I have the second mash here. Whatever kind of, if anything more dribbles out of it throughout the next hour, I'll add it to the pot because, you know, I mean, that's free, you know, wort. Can't let that go. I'm sitting at about just under 4 gallons right now in here. So I figure after the boil, I'll be somewhere around 3.5 to 4 gallons. We'll see if using the brew bags made a difference. I feel like they did. It did seem to mash better overall. I was able to let the pump keep going on its own through the whole thing. I mean, it did really go better than using this metal tube that doesn't let liquid through it. I will say that if it did give me really good efficiency and I do get good numbers, what I'll end up doing is buying a really nice brew bag. You can get these nice, I think it's called the brew bag, but it's just a really nice heavy duty one that will last longer, and it has handles on it. And what I'll do is get a little pulley system, which you can get for real cheap at a hardware store or online, a ratcheting one where you just go click, 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 and it'll start to pull it up and then just hold it there. And you can use a ladder. I mean, it's a lot of more equipment, but I could use a ladder over this as my, you know, anchor for pulling up the brew bag. And that would be a solution to what happened to me tonight. Sorry about the noise if you can hear that. I got the window open, so when this starts to boil, some of the steam goes out the window. All right, other than that, you probably can't see it at that angle. I don't know if you can or not, but I have my hops lined out. Chinook, this German Hallertau, Centennial, and Citra. And if you've never used Citra, I mean, it's real popular right now. It smells amazing, man. I would just like smell it all day. It smells like citrus, just like it's sort of called. It's a 70-minute boil, so you can look in the description, and I'll have, you know, the recipe and when to add the hops. So I will go ahead and do that, and I will be back when it's cooled down. I have all the numbers to see what I hit, and am ready to transfer it to a fermenter. So I will see you then. Have a good one. All right, guys, welcome back. Not super happy with this. It's been kind of a mess ever since I couldn't get the bag out of the pot. It's gonna be so much cleanup today, but I was hoping for 5.5 gallons with an original gravity 1122. I ended up with 5 gallons, so I'm a half gallon short, and only 1100, so 1.100. So I'm off by, what, 22 points? That's pretty significant. If I add more, if I top it up another half gallon, I'll bring my ABV overall down to something like, a little over like 9.5%. If I leave it where it is, it's still going to hit over 10%. So I've decided to leave it where it is and just, you know, not get as much beer out of it. What else can I tell you? I don't know. This is a bad example because I had to do 2 mashes to test out that brew in the bag efficiency versus the. Also, I noticed at times. Sorry, I'm babbling, but so the brew in the bag is probably this was not the best beer to test that on, as opposed to the metal grain basket that it comes with, because I had to do 2 mashes with the same beer. But I did notice the temperature on the second mash jumped way up to like 160, maybe even a little higher than that. And it's just a testament on how this system just cannot maintain a steady temperature for your mash. So it's something to think about if you're looking at buying one of these. I've said in other videos, I think probably you're better off getting something else. But if you're, on a budget, you just, do the best you can. But the bad news is that I calculate this to be about like 45% efficiency, which is absolutely abysmal. So, yeah. Next beer I make is going to be one mash, a normal amount of grain, so I'll be able to test better. And I'll use a ladder with a pulley to get the bag out. And so hopefully all that will help. So I've already sanitized everything. Make sure you take your lid off if you're doing this sort of thing, because otherwise the pressure difference will suck down the star sand from the airlock into your wort. This is my backup my backup fermenter. I'm already using my two main ones. So this is my old fermenter. It holds 6 gallons, so it's not going to have any problem holding, 5 gallons is what this should be, about 5 gallons of liquid. Yeah, so I'm going to fill it about halfway. I'll turn it off, and I can actually rock this one and I have a bung that'll fit it, so a solid bung. So I'll rock it to get it aerated when it's about 3/4 full, and then I'll put the yeast in, fill it up with the rest of the wort, put an airlock on it, and Bob's your uncle. So, yeah, I will see you back here. By the way, I'm going to use that. I already told you in the beginning of the video what yeast I'm going to use. It's that wine yeast, the Lalvin. So, yeah, I will see you back here when I'm getting the whiskey and the oak ready to get set up. So, we'll see you then. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Real quickly, because I forgot to film it and actually tell you, I did put the 3 pounds of dry malt extract into the boil. Probably about 5 minutes after the boil started, I put that in. So in case you were wondering what happened with the dry malt extract, I did put it into the wort. All right, it's been a week, for me anyway, and so it's time to start getting the oak ready. I like to add oak to whiskey and let it soak in the whiskey and then pour that into my beer. I'm not a big fan of just putting oak chips directly into beer. I don't think it does much. If you've ever done any research on distilling, you'll know that they use a very specific proof usually to soak wood in barrels. Like say it's 60% alcohol by volume. Well, obviously the beer is nowhere near that. And so I don't think you're going to get a ton of flavor by just throwing wood chips into your beer. I don't think it'll do much. This should be, so these wood chips are from Westward Whiskey, which I'm a huge fan of. They sell these on their website, but they are local here in town as well. And they sell them for barbecuing, but these are clearly from barrels. And I don't know if this has been charred. Well, it must have been charred before they put the whiskey in it. I mean, I can't smell much, but and then of course the outer part of it not charred. So I could have charred this a bit, but I'm not going to bother for this. This is about 1.5 ounces. You don't have to be too specific. This should be American white oak if you're wondering what kind of wood it is. You can use other kinds of wood. You could use French oak, Hungarian oak. What I would say is just make sure that whatever oak you use, if you're going to go down to like the hardware store or something, you just don't want to use anything that's been treated. And a lot of wood that you would get like a hardware store is treated with, chemicals and things to preserve the wood or whatever. And obviously that's, that could be poisonous. So you don't want that in your beer. So it's better if you can get oak from brew stores. If you're familiar with the Etsy website, a lot of people sell it on there. You can also get it from, like in this case, there was a distillery in town that was selling these. So there's various ways you can get them. Like I say, it's about 1.5 ounces. And this is, The only thing that matters as far as what kind of whiskey you use is that you use a whiskey you think it's going to work well with the beer you're making. So in this case, I'm doing a barley wine. Obviously, I'm not going to put like a super heavy peated, smoky Scotch, in here. Not to mention, I would rather just save that to drink, But this is Glenmorangie. Someone told me that it was a really good whiskey, and I had to try it. It's not bad. It's not bad, but it's just not to my, it's not what I usually look for in a whiskey for my personal taste. And so it would take me forever to get through this bottle because it's just, I have other whiskeys that I prefer. So I'm going to use this because also I think it will go well with the barley wine. This, in my opinion, the flavors I get from this are kind of like a peach and honey flavor, and it's very... I don't like to use the word smooth. People don't like it when you say whiskey is smooth, but it doesn't have much of an alcoholic ethanol burn or anything to it when you're drinking it. So anyway, in it goes. How much? Well, you want to at least cover the oak, and then after that, it's up to you. How much you want to put in. Really, I'm just trying to get, oak flavor. And this will pull oak and flavor. How much? It's a lot of oak in here. So even though it's only going to be for a week that it sits in here, it will impart a lot of flavor because there's a lot of oak compared to the amount of whiskey that's in here. Make sure that if you can, every day, come by and do this to stir it up and make sure that the whiskey is being able to get to all parts of the wood. Yeah. All right, so that's it. So set aside. So we'll stir it up every day, and then in a week we will pour just the whiskey, not the oak, just the whiskey, into the barley wine, and then we'll give it another 2 weeks to finish up, and then we can bottle. So I will see you in a week to pour this into the barley wine. See you later. All right, folks, so this is the whiskey. It's gotten significantly darker. I gotta be careful. There's actually a piece of wood still in there. But it's gotten significantly darker. And this is the barley wine here. I have it wrapped up because it's in a clear fermenter, so I want to keep the sunlight out. I don't really have a decent way to get it in there without a little bit of splashing. So unfortunately, it is what it is. I could try and tip it maybe a little bit, but I don't know if that's really going to help at all. I'm just going to pour it in as quickly as I can. Leave behind the wood, of course. That's it. Normally, I'd like to try to use a fermenter like this, larger mouth, so I can pour it down the side with less splashing. But I've never really had an issue with the oxidation with this, so it's so quick, All right, so whiskey is in. We will wait another 2 weeks, and then we'll bottle this sucker up. So I'll see you in 2 weeks for bottling day. All right, welcome to bottling day. Got the old school fermenter here. Let's take the airlock off. I have not taken a reading yet. I'm going to do that after I get it transferred. So in order to transfer this, unfortunately, I can't use, like I would normally just use a spigot, but I can't do it. Can't do it because I don't have one. So I do, what's I going to say? Oh, is this open? No, wait, that's closed. Pretty sure that's closed. Guess we'll find out in a second. It smells pretty good. All sanitized. That's what I was going to say. Everything's been sanitized. I just didn't think you would want to sit through and see that on camera, but everything's been sanitized. So I will let this finish siphoning into the bottling bucket, and then I can get rid of this, and I'll be back. All right, so I've got everything in the bucket now. Just over 4 gallons, so almost 4.5. I knew ahead of time. You saw that. I didn't quite have the 5 gallons that I was hoping for. So first things first, I have here priming fluid. So it's my personal ratio is 1 ounce per gallon. So I have almost 4.5 gallons here of beer. So we're talking 4.5 ounces of sugar. And I always throw in a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar to convert it to glucose. I was looking for a specific spoon. It's probably in the dishwasher. So I guess I will use this one. Let me spray it down to sanitize. So what I'm going to do is this needs to go in and be mixed. I know you can't see it, but I did cool it down to about 75 degrees, and it's going to come even more down. I'm not going to go crazy with mixing this, just so we're clear. I'm not splashing it. I'm gently turning it in one direction, and then I'm turning it the other direction, because it's very important that this gets mixed pretty well, or we're going to end up with beer that doesn't carbonate. All right. I'm just going to offset this. Probably not necessary. So I'm trying something new here. I have a bottling wand hooked up to my spigot instead of just a tube, because the tube itself just wasn't great for me. So I'm only going to show you 1 or 2 here. There's no reason for you to sit through this entire video watching me bottle all of these. My little sanitizer machine here, if you haven't seen it, it's a great saver of sanitizer solution. It makes it super easy. All right, here we go. I'm going to give it a try. Hopefully you can see this, and we'll see how it goes. I should be able to just... oh yeah, this is working great so far. By the way, I did check the final oh, nice. The final gravity number on this, and it's going to be, it was like 1034. So it's really going to be sweet. It's only going to end up being like 8.5%, which is not what I wanted, obviously. So I'm disappointed with that, but I did have those issues when I was doing the mash and everything, so really I can't expect too much from this. So I will go ahead and bottle the rest up, and then in 2 weeks I'll see it to give it a taste and see if it worked and what it tastes like. Well, we made it, folks. This is the end. You got here. Congratulations. The beer is done. Hopefully. It's been 2 weeks since I bottled it, which usually means it's carbonated. Although it can take longer, so I guess we'll see. So let's see. Barley wine, fermented for a month, bottled for 2 weeks, 1.100 original gravity, 1034 final gravity. Gosh, there's so many reasons for that. I'm a little wondering whether it was because the yeast tolerance on it just couldn't handle higher alcohol than that. Yeah, I don't know. I was hoping for a higher alcohol content. Well, let's see what it looks like. Woo! I'll tell you what, it looks like a barley wine. In my experience, from the barley wines I've always had, they are very, I don't know if I'd say viscous. Man, that's beautiful. I don't know if you can see this very well on the camera. I mean, obviously it's not clear at all. It's super dense, but a great head on it. Looks like there's plenty of carbonation, and yeah, I mean, it certainly looks the part. I don't smell any off flavors. Well, It smells a little young. Remember that this is going to be added to my series of beer tastings I do at the end of each month, where I have 3 beers. This will be the 3rd one that I basically am aging over a period of about 3 years. And so you can expect next week, next Monday, I'll do a video of 2 of the beers that I've been doing, another tasting of them. And then the following month, I'll start adding this beer to it and hoping that youngness. Remember, the higher the alcohol content, the more likely that aging will help remove some of that young, what we would call greenness to the beer. Yeah, the longer it sort of sits here, the more I can sort of smell that green, like, youngness to the beer. Plenty of carbonation. It tastes, I'll tell you what, it tastes like a barley wine. It's very malt forward. I don't have it on my notes here. Can't remember how many hops that I put in. I think I put in quite a few hops. But super, super malt forward. You know, it's really good. I really, even though it's only 8.5, well, 8.6%, I really think that letting it age is going to make some, of the 3 beers that I'm aging, I feel like this one is going to benefit the most and take some of that edge off and round it over time. Well, I'm going to go finish this, and in the meantime, while I'm finishing this, if you could hit the like button, the subscribe button. I hate asking, but it does help the channel when you hit the like button. Subscribe will obviously just notify you each Monday when I put out a video. And if you have a comment, leave it below. I would say make this beer. I know that I had a little issue with where the bag fell into the wort and it sort of splashed everywhere. So I know there was an issue with not during the brewing process, but in the end, it actually turned out really good. I would definitely make this again, and I was dubious, to be honest with you, on how it would turn out. But yeah, I mean, I'm pleased. So yeah, make it. It's good. I think it's a good recipe. You'd have to make it with 2 different batches, which is what I did if you have a smaller system, but because of the amount of grain it takes to make something like this. And I might consider using a different yeast next time. And maybe, well, I was going to say maybe I should let it ferment longer, but I mean, if it had continued to ferment, the bottle would have exploded on me, or at least geysered. So, I mean, it was done. 1034 is where it ended, probably yeast tolerance. So possibly I would look at using a different yeast, something that has a higher tolerance next time, to get this closer to like 10, 11%. But overall, I'm happy. Carbonation is great. Flavor is where it should be for barley wine. So anyway, give it a try. If you do try it, let me know what you think. And I will see you next week for a tasting. And until next time, happy brewing.